Hey, what's going on guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2017 career mode. Before we get into things today guys though, I've got a really exciting competition to tell you guys about. So World Gaming and Cineplex are looking for Canada's fastest driver as they host a $25,000 free to enter Gran Turismo Sport tournament. So GT Sport, the game that just came out last year, at the end of last year, it's a tournament that begins with online qualifiers with the top players advancing to an online playoffs, and from the playoffs the top 16 drivers are in a prize pool of that $25,000 and will win a trip to Toronto, and that will advance them to the national finals hosted at the Cineplex Colossus Cinemas Vaughan. And the driver who will take first place will take the big cash prize of 8,000 Canadian dollars, a Porsche RSR carbon fiber rear wing, plus an all expenses paid 3-day trip to attend the Grand Prix of Long Beach in Long Beach, California. I think you can clearly see absolutely insane top prize, but even if you get into the top 16, you're in that prize pool, and that's a lot of money to potentially win for just being very fast at GT Sport. So again, if you are a Canadian resident, you're aged over 17, qualifiers have already started on January the 13th, but they end on February the 4th. So you still have a lot of time to get entered, get registered, and get into this tournament. So if you're up for it and you want to enter or get to know any more information in detail, please do click the link in the top line of the description below. Again, the top prize is $8,000, a Porsche RSR carbon fiber rear wing, and a 3-day all expenses weekend trip to the Grand Prix of Long Beach. Absolutely insane top prize, but the top 16 alone is also wicked. So if you do fancy yourself being pretty fast at GT Sport on the PS4, be sure to go enter if you're a Canadian resident over age 17. But without further ado, let's get into the rest of this video then. Episode number 118 then for the F1 2017 career mode here at the Mexican Grand Prix. Last time out at the USA Grand Prix was quite a tough race for us. Definitely damage limitation once again, like along with the Singapore and Malaysian Grand Prix. If you have missed that video, by the way, be sure to go check that one out. That only just got uploaded yesterday as I upload this now on the Thursday. So we're going to go through here for the engine management, but I think this should be a better race for us. Mexico, obviously long main straight, and the Mercedes engine should pull through. We are now, since the last couple episodes now, we have the most powerful engine now once again. We actually were at one point only the 5th most powerful engine on the grid. I think at one point Red Bull were leading the way, but now myself, Force India and Williams have all upgraded throughout the entirety of this season 6 to get back and make it a 1-2-3 for Mercedes power units. So kind of not surprising in a way, but it was a surprising way to start this season like that. But now we're fully back into the kind of OP Mercedes engine in the back of our car, and so I hope we can go well. And obviously, like I mentioned last episode, the tyre upgrade we got, at least I didn't feel the benefits of it around Kota. My teammate Hamilton definitely did, it looked like, because he was able to do a very bold 2-stop with 2 sets of ultra soft tyres, but I definitely did not feel the benefits. So I'm hoping this episode we can do. And so we move through into qualifying then. Q1, pretty easy stuff there. Unlike Kota, actually didn't kind of, have to kind of do 2 laps there, just did 1, and bang, we're into Q2. And then it was actually a bit more overcast in Q1, so it gets a bit sunnier in Q2, and we come through the final corners then, and at the moment we're in P13, we haven't set a lap time yet, but across the line, and we will come home. Hopefully that's going to be in the top 10. We see the animation because we're right at the end of the session. It is P7 then, and so we are through, but it's always kind of a little bit nerve-wracking when you're saying a lap time right at the death of the session, so you can't see straight away where you come. It does that animation, and you're sort of just waiting for that little pop-up on the left-hand side to come. But thankfully P7, so we're through into Q3, and we swing through the S section now. And I gotta say, in season 6 cars, with 6 seasons of progression on the downforce, that middle section feels absolutely godly. So really enjoyable lap actually to do. And so we come across the line, our one and only flying lap in Q3, and again at the end of the session, so we have to wait for it to pop up. But it is going to be P4 then for tomorrow's race on the grid. Lewis Hamilton, my teammate, gets pole position, so fair play to Lewis. But you can see both myself and Hamilton P1 and P4, and there wasn't a huge amount of time actually lost there to Hamilton. So clearly the Mercedes engine's going well, but equally Red Bull right there as well. So we have a proper scrap on our hands with our main championship rival Daniel Ricciardo. But of course, with Hulkenberg now winning 2 wins on the trot, he's slowly creeping into this, and he's not too far off the pace as well. And you would imagine, we've seen in seasons gone by, it doesn't really matter where you qualify, as long as you're in the top 10, with the amount of slipstream you get down that straight in on the opening lap, and then for the laps to come with DRS, it is definitely going to be quite a fight here. So looking forward to it, and we have to try and do the job. Overcast conditions at the moment, as you can see, so there may be some rain. I haven't checked the weather forecast, unfortunately, so we'll have to look at that. But let's go to the full grid and then get into this race.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, with Daniel Ricciardo slotting in alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hülkenberg and a Mercedes, Sergio Perez and Verstappen, Vettel, Raikkonen, Ocon and Jolyon Palmer, Massa, Grosjean, Fernando Alonso and Kvyat, Sainz, Stroll, Pascal Wehrlein and Stoffel van Dorn, Ericsson and Kevin Magnussen rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Right, so here we are on the grid then. The first time we can check the weather indicator. We're still in P4, so no penalties for the top three then. Ricciardo, Hülkenberg and Hamilton. You can see no rain actually, so deceivingly just overcast the entire race. You never know, maybe the game would lie and there might be some random rain. You never know, but default strategy is 2-stop, one set of ultra soft tyres and 2 sets of super softs then. I imagine that default's been changed a little bit since we made that major tyre upgrade. That might have been a 3-stop default for us had it not been for that, but here we go then to 5 red lights. The Mexican Grand Prix. We're wasting no time getting into this, and it's a pretty poor start for us, and an amazing start there for the home man, Sergio Perez, rocket ship in his Force India, and he's going to make it 3 wides. We're going to turn 1, obviously a very long run. We're going to get a long, good turn. Ricciardo, maybe make it 4 wide. We break a little bit early because I'm wary of being on the inside and getting pinched. We bang tyres with Nico Hülkenberg. Ricciardo on the inside there, make it into lead this Grand Prix. Hamilton's been forced off wide, and he's down to 3rd place now, and 4th as we make the overtake. So the man on pole is down to P4. Hülkenberg slots in behind in P5. Ricciardo is P2, but at the moment the crowd must be going wild now as we enter this stadium section on the left-hand side there. The entirety of the crowd must be going crazy as their home man is leading the way from turn 1. Absolutely awesome stuff there for Sergio Perez. But now as we move on to lap 3, it's going to be a pretty easy move into turn 1, although we go wide, and now Ricciardo will come back at us now on the right-hand side. Bang tyres quite aggressively on the right-hand side, but we pull a beautiful little switchback move on Daniel Ricciardo, our main championship rival. So great to see 2 championship rivals, 3 almost, because Hülkenberg, technically I would include him in the championship rivalry for now, because you never know if myself and Ricciardo keep dropping points to him, he's in there. So he's also made the move and he's up into P3, but that works for me, for him to get points off Daniel Ricciardo. But now to P4, he's got more plans ahead of him, he does, Nico Hülkenberg, because he wants to try and get points off me. We go defensive to the inside of turn 1. He goes right around the outside, barges his way through with a bit of shoulder barging. We go quite wide though on the entry to turn 2, open up the steering wheel, and for now we're going to stay ahead in P2 and just constantly checking behind us because I'm really paranoid of where on earth Hülkenberg's going to try and send this. We go to the inside, defend the inside line, force him to the outside, although he gets it, but we're going to set ourselves up for another textbook switchback move, looking so good there, and we go down the inside then of the double right-hander, and we're back up into P2. But meanwhile, Sergio Perez has gained a huge lead in this race. You can see he's not even on, he's just barely on the mini-map there, so the crowd will be loving that. There's a big potential now for Perez just to waltz away with the lead of this race win. But now you can see on lap 7 again, Hülkenberg comes back on us now, but now on the right hand side with DRS and way more momentum than before, and he's down the inside quite cleanly before we even get to the brake zone. Quite a big lockup though from the German there. That's a domino effect then for us against Verstappen, who's right up our chuff as well in the mirrors, you can see. So he's overtaken Ricciardo, so clearly Red Bull not wanting to pull any kind of team orders to aid Ricciardo's title charges in the last 3 rounds here. So surprising, but also not maybe that surprising, with Verstappen obviously always wanting to be quite punchy. But we go through into the next sector then on the same lap. Yellow flags ahead as there's a car going slowly. It's Carlos Sainz, I think that was, going very slowly with what looked to be maybe a puncher there on the Toro Rosso car. And now as we go through into the stadium section, full course yellow, we slow down into the full safety car. So now this will open up a chance to make an early pit stop here. The strategy is calling for super softs and then a set of soft tires, which I agree with here. So we're going to come in now. The strategy actually wanted us to go on for 1 more lap, stupidly, but I think we should just come in right now. Free pit stop there. As we come in though, Verstappen manages to ghost through our car and overtake us in the pit lane. So I don't know what on earth that was about, but we made the pit stop anyway, so thankfully there's no damage from that, or it didn't glitch massively. That could have been a lot worse in terms of glitches. It looks like, unfortunately for Hamilton, I have to double stack him, so sorry Lewis, so he's going to lose out some time, but we do get back ahead of Verstappen anyway, so that's fine. And we're coming out still behind Nico Hülkenberg, so that's all fine in terms of, you know, it would have been a lot worse if Verstappen hadn't glitched through us and then managed to overtake us and stay ahead of us. But as we come down the pit lane, then we've got the likes of McLaren cars who started on soft tyres. They're going to be ahead of us for track position, and obviously they're not under blue flag, they're going to be 4th position. So as we go through and have some more interesting ghosting on the exit of the safety car, we're now sucking ourselves up to try and overtake Stoffel van Dorn as early as we can. And quite a few times previously on the safety car restart, I haven't got it as quite as good as I wanted it to. And even now, that wasn't an amazing restart, but nonetheless, we're in rich mix now, and we'll get the slipstream. You would imagine against the Honda power unit, we should have the pace now on the left-hand side. Equally so, we've got Hulkenberg overtaking Pascal Wehrlein then. So a lot of interesting mobile chicane traffic we're going to have to all navigate. Myself, Hulkenberg, Verstappen, Ricciardo all included, and Sergio Perez and Hamilton are still somewhere in there. I've kind of lost track of where Perez is in this race. I think he's 2 positions up ahead of Hulkenberg. Meanwhile, obviously, the 2 Red Bulls and Hamilton are behind us, unfortunately, with that double stack we had to make on Lewis. But we send it down the inside then of Pascal Wehrlein. Real long dive bomb, and we're up ahead into P7. But now I've only just noticed that Julian Palmer has managed to get ahead of us somehow. We're now going to try and rectify that to go around the outside, but I've kind of lost track of how Palmer actually ended up ahead of us. Maybe he pit 1 lap earlier than we did under the safety car and got kind of advantage through that. But we go through the last corner, and whilst we overtake him, Van Dorn has a very cheeky pass on Jolien. So nice stuff there from Stoffel. But now we're up into P5 as a few others make their pit stops. We've got Fernando Alonso, the other McLaren, up there. So both the McLarens were finding themselves in some really high positions at the moment with their kind of alternative strategy. Obviously, the safety car helping them out in that kind of sense. But Palmer now is back ahead of Van Dorn. You can see in the top left as we close up to Fernando. But I don't actually think I saw the Force India Perez up in this train. So I think maybe, just like maybe I lost that to Palmer, Perez has maybe lost out majorly to most of us here, because I can't for the life of me see the Force India up ahead. I can see a Williams car and another Sauber there as we close up now to Fernando. We couldn't do the same move we did to Wehrlein. Unfortunately, Fernando just had too much pace there into that left hand as we entered the stadium section previously, but now into the second kind of stadium section. Down the inside, this will be squeeze them out as we open up the steering wheel to the curbing, and we're up into P4. But yeah, we've got Ericsson, we've got one of the Williams cars, and then it's Hulkenberg in the lead of this Grand Prix I should say not once again, but now he's into the lead of this Grand Prix and sets fast up the Grand Prix. But that just shows where on earth is Sergio Perez. He's lost a lot of time somewhere, and he's lost massively out on the safety car period, so that's really unfortunate for him. And so he's not even in the top 4, because the top 4 at the moment are Hulkenberg, myself, Palmer, and then Fernando Alonso. Still, Alonso doing a decent job on the soft tyres at the moment. But Palmer now has overtaken us into turn 1, just like Hulkenberg did. But he locks up, a huge lock up. Well, what on earth has he done there? Palmer, man, what was that? Huge brake check. Obviously not intentional, I don't think, because he just lost the car. But he just goes straight, and I misjudged that almost, kind of half and half incident maybe. But he's completely shoved us off there in terms of lost us all the momentum. We're down to P6 now from what was P2. And now it's 4 wide almost, with Verstappen and Hamilton diving down the inside. We go down the inside of Sergio Perez, and it's 4 wide into that very tight right-hander, and we're going neck and neck with Verstappen now, having to shove him off, and Perez has stayed ahead now. Meanwhile, behind you got Ricciardo and my teammate Hamilton fighting away, and so we've just got ahead of Verstappen as Hamilton sends it down the inside of Ricciardo there, and now we go on to chase Esteban Ocon. So my bad, not even Sergio Perez, Esteban Ocon. So I still don't even know where Perez is, so Perez has lost even more time there as we fight the Frenchman of Ocon to try and re-overtake him. He tried his best to get me whilst I got flustered, but both McLarens have re-overtaken me, and so both McLarens are running P3 and P4 at this Grand Prix still on lap 13 as we go neck and neck. Switchback move on Ocon in a very unorthodox place to make a switchback move down the inside of the final corner, and we're back up into P5. But Julian Palmer, that really unfortunate lockup, probably wasn't an intentional, brake check, but due to his lockup, he basically did brake check us into that first corner, and I just misjudged on where on earth his car was. How would I have known he would have just gone straight on there? I would have assumed that lockup would have been like Hulkenberg's lockup, as he would have kept on turning right, but no, he just went straight on, because I was ready to go to the left-hand side of him to maybe make a pop down the inside of turn 2. So now we have to try and re-overtake the McLarens now on lap 18, taking us about 4 laps there to catch back up to Van Dorn. We do get that nice and easy in a straight line then with Rich Mix and DRS, and we will do the same to Fernando Alonso then through the last corner. Just patience, just open up the taps on Rich Mix, try and control the back end there, open DRS once we get to that line. We're actually a little bit critical on fuel there, so we're going to have to be a bit cautious about that, and maybe try and go and lead mixture in sector 2 where all the corners are, obviously, and then go and Rich Mix and stand in down this back straight in through sector 3 on the exit of it. But as we go on towards lap 21 then, we come in for our final pit stop onto a set of soft tyre this will be, and it's the exact same strategy for Nico Hulkenberg and the Red Bulls behind us. The only different strategy would be the 2 McLaren cars. I think they're going on to super soft tyres, so they may actually be pretty decent in the corners towards the end of this race compared to all the rest of us there. But as we come down the pit lane, then I would imagine we're going to come out around the same kind of area. As we go down, let's see, we've got a Sauer going through. Is there any other car that we need to be wary about? I think that's the Red Bull car. Yes, it is, of Daniel Ricciardo. So Ricciardo has pit 1 lap earlier than us onto soft tyres, and he's managed to jump us with a really decent undercut. So it takes us 2 laps then to lap 23 to catch back up to our rival in the championship, the Australian. And so now as we go through the double right-hander, trying to size up a move, we're going to have to make it count in this next sector to close up and maybe make a move. I would maybe suggest down the right-hand side as we go into the stadium section like we did on Fernando Alonso in that move gone by. So here we go, really good turn through those S sections. You can see the Mercedes downforce kicking in there, surprising Ricciardo not being too pacey through there, having the Red Bull car and the Red Bull downforce at his disposal. But we go the long way round now on the right hand side. That'll turn to the inside now. This corner allows us to open up the steering wheel, intentionally going deep, and we're up the order, and Ricciardo now has to fight. Maybe, I think that's Julian Palmer. No, it's Fernando Alonso. Fernando Alonso actually looking a bit handy. Look at this, he's actually on the back of Ricciardo. And hang on, would this be a McLaren Honda going for a straight on overtake move? I don't believe it. As we've cut away to the right hand side of the straight, you can see, to kind of stop Ricciardo getting a toe from us. And look at that, Fernando is going for a move down the inside. I can't believe this. The McLarens, looks like, I don't know, maybe they brought an upgrade to this Grand Prix that we didn't see, because the McLaren's not looking too bad here. That was Fernando making a move on Ricciardo. And as we move on to lap 25, as we look behind us actually, look at the mini-map, Fernando's keeping up with us. He's actually dropped Ricciardo, and we saw in the background of that previous shot that Van Dorn wasn't too far behind as well and was catching Ricciardo. So both McLarens with maybe some major upgrades on the engine side of things for this race, and it's working well for them, because I don't know, I'm in rich mix and Fernando's actually catching me now on lap 26, and McLaren Honda is going for a move on me, and we have to go a little bit defensive there, break the toe from it into turn 1. So I don't believe that. I don't know if he's got an extra setting, or he might have done the kind of slipstream drag reduction update, so I'm not too sure. But some great pace there from both McLarens. As I said, I don't think Van Dorn's too far behind. But meanwhile, at the moment in this Grand Prix, it's Julian Palmer in second place and Hulkenberg in P1 with a 1-2 for Renault, and dominating this Grand Prix at the moment now, you've got to say. And look at that, as I talk about that, I didn't even realise there, Alonso going for a move on us. We have to go defensive into the stadium section on the double right-hander. And so fair play to McLaren and Fernando Alonso. But now it's inevitable. Eventually, though, the McLaren just can't keep up that pace. And down the inside goes Sergio Perez for a really nice move. And the crowd are going to be going wild in the stadium section as he makes a really nice move on Alonso there to get up into P4. You've got Hamilton, my teammate, not too far behind there. But unfortunately for Perez, it's going to stop there, because we go on to the last lap of the Grand Prix, and it's going to be us coming home in third place. But Nico Hulkenberg wins a third race on the trot. 3 wins in a row for the German. Second place for Palmer. It's a 1-2 for Renault, which will, I think, make them jump ourselves in Mercedes in the Constructors' Championship. But now you've got to say, Hulkenberg is a championship rival of ours. I think he might overtake Ricciardo here. 3 wins in the trot. He deserves it. But that Renault has turned into an absolute monster of a car lately, and they're having the same dominance that myself and Perez showed in the Force India in Season 5. And so then we move on to the final results and the standings. You can see Alonso did really well in P6 there. Did get overtaken by Perez and Hamilton at the end, but still a really strong performance there for the Spaniard in the McLaren Honda. But you can see there, confirmation, Hulkenberg now is in second place in this championship. So really my main rival now is kind of all both of them, because they're quite close together actually for P2 and P3. And we've got a still decent cushion to Nico now, and an even bigger one to Ricciardo. So for the last 2 rounds now, we've got a 3-way championship fight perhaps, but we're in hopefully the driving seat. Unfortunately though, same can't be said for the constructors. We now, with myself and Lewis and Mercedes, moved down to third place, and Renault are level on points with Red Bull. So Red Bull have been dominating in first place the entire season long now. But out of nowhere now, the last 3 rounds, Renault turn up with Nico especially, and now they're looking like they're maybe going to go for the Constructors' Championship, which is going to be very, very exciting indeed. You know, 3 different championship rivals, and also potentially a brand new Constructors' Champion. Because remember, when I won the championship with Renault, my Drivers' Championship, I didn't win the Constructors, I don't think, if I remember correctly. I just left them after the 3rd season, so fair play to them. They've, taken some time to really get back up there after I left them, but they're right there now for the challenge. So it's going to be an interesting last 2 races, the Brazilian Grand Grand Prix and the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. But guys, if you have enjoyed this one, smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you are new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. And once again, guys, as I said at the beginning of the video, if you are Canadian and aged over 17, there's a fantastic tournament on GT Sport right now. So check out the link below on the top line in the description to go enter it. $25,000 prize pool for the top 16. Crazy stuff there for being fast on GT Sport. So again, if you're from Canada, aged 17 or over, be sure to check that one out. And yeah, that's going to be the end of the video. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and see you guys next time. Goodbye.